Hello, friends, and thank you as always for visiting the Legend Sports Universe YouTube channel, Legend Sports Universe, where legends play forever. The Franchise Stars Baseball League has reached September 21st of Year 3 of the FSBL, 9 days left in the regular season, and we have got some thrills in store for you. 4 of the 6 divisions are currently within 2 games for the division lead. A 5th division is within 4 games. Only one division has been clinched. The Oakland A's have taken over the American League West as they have all 3 years of the FSBL. But we're going to take a look at what has set up these races coming down the stretch, what has gone on for the past week or so in the FSBL, and what's coming ahead over these final 9 days of the regular season. We start off in the American League East, where the Boston Red Sox have overtaken the New York Yankees for the division lead. Boston has gained 5 games in 10 days, going 8-2, while the Yankees have gone 3-7. The bulk of that head-to-head matchups, as the Sox have gone 5-0 against the Yankees here in September. The big game in that setup, let's go here. September 11th, the Sox blank the Yankees to complete a sweep in the Bronx, 7-0. Pedro Martinez improves to 13-5 with a complete game 4-hit shutout, striking out 13. Boston got to Whitey Ford with a 4-run third inning there. In a 7-0 rout, Williams, Harris, and Collins all go deep for the Sox. The Sox then have taken the first 2 games of this series at Fenway Park, an 8-5 win in the opener, a 3-2 nail-biter in yesterday's game. That brings us to what will be the American League game of the week for September 21st, Red Sox and Yankees from Fenway. Yankees have had a bit of a rough go here. They dropped 2 of 3 against the A's. They took 2 of 3 from Tampa after sweeping Tampa. So they went 5-6 against Tampa. But then they split 2 against Miami. But this really losing the division lead is really about the 5 games against the Red Sox. The Red Sox have stayed within striking distance, and they had their opportunity to take over the division. And so far, they have made it pay off here in September. We will go and we'll move on. We will take a look at the American League Central, where the Cleveland Indians, who have won this division each of the past 2 years, have overtaken the Tigers here in September. A very similar situation to the American League East. The Indians have chased down the Tigers just as they did to the Twins a year ago. Cleveland took 5 of 6 against the Tigers have dropped 5 straight. The Twins took the opener of a 3-game set against the A's, and they then will wrap up the season hosting the Red Sox and Indians after that series ends. So it's going to be a tough road for the Twins here. You see them 5 games out. The elimination number is 4. For them to kind of get to this division lead, if they can make the Cleveland series matter, they've certainly got a shot. But they've got to manage to make up 2 games on the Indians over the next 6 days. And in order to do that, they're going to have to do it against the A's and the Red Sox. So that's going to be a tough road to hoe there for the Twins. Let's go and take a look at those 3 teams. We'll start off with the Tigers, as they're the ones who've let it go. And you'll see they opened up the month. They won the finale of their series against the Royals. They took 3 of 4 against the Orioles. But Detroit dropped 2 of 3 against the Twins. They dropped 2 of 3 against the Indians. Then it seemed like they had bounced back. They took 2 of 3 against the Twins in Minnesota. But the Indians then swept the Tigers in Cleveland. Now they've dropped the opener of this series against the Texas Rangers. The Rangers, of course, have had a rough season this year. So now Detroit is going to have to try to right the ship. Let's say Mark Bitterich will go in that game here on the 21st. The Tigers get to face the Royals 3 times and the White Sox 3 times. The White Sox have now been eliminated both from division and from wild card contention. So they don't really have much to play for other than being a spoiler. Um, so that could play pretty well into the Tigers' hands. But the Indians, the big one for the Indians, again, the Indians are going to try to make sure that they've got things set up, at least where they can put the Twins in the rear view mirror here. If they can take the last two, they have dropped the opener of the series against the Angels. The Angels have been eliminated. So the Indians have 2 against the Angels, and then they head on the road into Chicago for 3 before finally wrapping up the season in the Metrodome for a 3-game set. So we'll see if the Indians can hold on now that they have overtaken the Tigers. The Tigers don't get to control their own destiny anymore, which certainly hurts. We'll take a look. Let's move ourselves out to the American League West. Again, I'm not really intending for this to be something that goes on for super long. Not really too much to discuss here. The A's, the best team in baseball, once again, they won't get to the 111 wins that they got to each of the first 2 years of the FSBL. Oakland was surprisingly sluggish out of the gate this year. But again, they have dominated the American League West, 23 games up. The division has been clinched. Best offense, best pitching. And for anybody to take down Oakland this year, they're going to have to certainly bring their A game. But it happened last year. The A's were the best team in the regular season last year. They obviously won the FSBL World Series in year 1. But last year, the Red Sox took them down in the division series before the Indians took down the Red Sox in the ALCS. So the A's, as good as they are, certainly not invincible. There is a feeling, though, that they're a bit loaded for bear here, looking to get themselves back to the World Series. Take a look at the American League wildcard situation. The Yankees and Tigers, both in pretty good shape at this point. They're 4 games up. The only team that's a threat to them in terms of the wildcard spot would be the Twins who are 4 games back of them. So even though the Yankees and Tigers have both dropped 7 of 10, both are still in pretty favorable position in terms of a postseason berth. But the Twins are going to try to throw a monkey wrench into all of that. But I would still have to say the Yankees and the Tigers are going to both make the postseason. But nobody wants a part of that wild card game. If you remember, the Yankees were a wild card team in year 1, and the Angels dumped the Yankees in the 1-game wild card in the Bronx in an absolute rout. So nobody wants to be in that wild card spot. It would be particularly painful for the Tigers. The Tigers had led the AL Central virtually all season. So to have that slip away from them in September would be a very damaging blow to a Detroit Tigers team that has finally played up to its potential. We move on to the National League. We'll start off in the East, where the Philadelphia Phillies have finally chased down the Atlanta Braves. 91-63. The Braves certainly really haven't done anything wrong here. They've already got 90 wins. The Phillies have gone 12-5 in September. The Braves have gone 11-7. So it's not like the Braves aren't even playing sub 500 ball. But the Phillies took 2 of 3 against the Dodgers. And then they put the nail in the Mets' coffin as far as the division goes, sweeping the Mets at home, including crushing Tom Seaver in his return from the injured list. The Mets had really been hoping that they could get Seaver back for 3 or 4 starts down the stretch, stay in the hunt, and maybe get a boost from that. The Phillies dispatched of them there. There you'll see that 3-game sweep. The Mets mustered 2 runs over a 3-game series. Now the Phillies have split with Miami, but they took 2 of 3 from the Marlins last weekend. There you see they took the 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, 2 of 3 from the Angels. They swept a pair from the Astros. So the Phillies have gotten it done here down the stretch. And again, it's not really as though the Braves have played badly. I mean, the Braves swept the Pirates, which was big, but the Braves are struggling a bit against the Reds. They dropped 3 of 4 to Cincinnati at home. 2 of 3 from the Reds in Cincinnati. But they took 2 of 3 from the Cubs. They've won the first game here against the Astros. You have to feel like this National League East is going to come down to this season-ending 3-game set in Philadelphia at Shibe Park. If that is the case, we will have all 3 of those games of the series, or at least until the division situation is sealed up. But there is potential that we will have all 3 of those games coming to you from Philadelphia. We'll head out to the National League Central. Actually, you know what? Let's take a quick pop in on the Mets here, because the Mets actually haven't been terrible here in September. They're playing 2-2, 4-3, 7-3, 9, 10-3. But now they've dropped this. They went 10-3 to open the month, and oddly, that's the game where Seaver returned. And now since Seaver returned, they dropped 4 straight. They were swept by the Phillies. They dropped the first game of the series against Montreal, and the Mets still have 3 games against the Phillies. The Mets are not out of the wild card picture, though. We'll get back to that in a bit. So the Mets are certainly not going to roll over here. We'll see if they can kind of throw a monkey wrench into plans coming down these final 9 days. But we'll move on now to the National League Central, and this is a really interesting picture. So the Pirates lead the Cardinals by 4 games at this point. But the Pirates had an opportunity to really put the Cardinals in the rearview mirror. They had pushed them back as far as 7. But now the Cardinals have made up 3 games. I just think they pushed them back as far as 8. But the Cardinals have made up ground. They're back within 4. The Pirates had taken 2 of 3 to open the month. But the Cardinals, they took 2 of 3 from the Cardinals to open up the month. But the Pirates, since then, here you go. Let's see this. There's the 2 of 3. The Pirates took 2 of 3 from the Cardinals. And then they took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers. But this really set the Pirates back when they got swept by the Braves in Atlanta. But then the Pirates bounced back. They took 2 of 3 against the Giants. They took 2 of 3 against the Expos. So it seemed like the Pirates would be okay. But now they've dropped the first 2 games of this series against the Reds in Cincinnati. The Pirates are going to get a game of the week for the 3rd straight week. It's just the nature of the schedule. There's no other National League game this week where 2 teams who are both in the playoff hunt are playing each other, except for the Pirates and the Reds. So we will give a 3rd straight look at the Pirates as the Pirates look to try to bring the division home. But the Pirates have to be a bit careful here, because the season ends with a 3-game series. It would be at Forbes, but it would be a 3-game set against the Cardinals. And if anybody in Pittsburgh is telling you they welcome that 3-game series against the Cardinals to wrap up the season with the division on the line, they are flat out lying to you. The Pirates want to make sure they have wrapped up the division before it comes down to that 3-game set. They do face the Marlins after this series with the Reds, but the Pirates really want to take care of business over these 5 games before they get to St. Louis there and put the Cardinals in a situation where the wild card is their only hope. We'll head out to the National League. Actually, you know, let's take a look at the Cardinals real quick, because the Cardinals have done a nice job here. So since they dropped the 2 of 3 to the Pirates early in the month, they took 2 of 3 from the Cubs, 2 of 3 from the Reds, 3 of 4 from the Brewers. They then swept the Blue Jays. I kind of glossed over the Blue Jays, and I shouldn't have, because the Blue Jays were poised to be a Cinderella story here in the league this season. But they've gone 1-11 since taking 2 of 3 from the Red Sox to open up the month. Look at this performance by the Blue Jays. So here you see in the first full series of the month, they took 2 of 3 from the Red Sox. And we had talked when I set things up at the start of September that the Blue Jays could really make things interesting down the stretch. Then they got swept by the Rays. They got swept in a 2-game set by the Orioles. They dropped 2 of 3 against the Indians. Then they lost the pair to St. Louis, and now they've dropped the first 2 games against the Orioles. 1-11 since taking the 2 of 3 from the Red Sox. The Blue Jays have now been eliminated from the division and from the wild card. So there will be no Cinderella story in Toronto this year to go along with Josh Gibson's rookie campaign. But certainly keep an eye on the Blue Jays going forward. But this year, it is not going to happen for them. So now we'll get back to the standings. And as we were going to talk about, let's get out to the National League West. And the National League West has seen an improbable collapse by the San Francisco Giants. We won't call it a collapse yet because they are still leading the division. But a lead that at one point was 9 games is down to 2 over the Dodgers. The Dodgers took 3 of 4 in San Francisco earlier on this week. The Giants are 5-12 in September. And now the Giants do have to face the Dodgers one more time after they finish the series with the Rockies, which they did take the opener of. So they got 2 more at home against Colorado, but then they head to Dodger Stadium for a big 3-game set. McGinnity against Vance, Bumgarner against Koufax, Marquard against Mungo, setting up as the 3 pitchers. That Dodgers trio, 1, 2, and 3 in the National League in strikeouts at the moment. So the Giants have made things difficult on themselves. Obviously, a tip of the hat to the Dodgers there as well for forcing the issue. The Giants would finish against the Diamondbacks. The Dodgers will finish with a 3-game set against the Padres. But this 3-game set here has huge implications as the Dodgers will try to finally unseat the Giants as the division leaders against San Francisco, the defending champions and the 2-time champions of the NL West as well. Lastly, we'll take a peek in on the National League wild card situation. The Braves are 4.5 games up there. So the Braves, even though they've been overtaken by the Phillies, the Braves are in good position as far as the wild card. But as we mentioned earlier with the American League situation, nobody wants anything to do with a wild card game, a 1-game play-in. Nobody wants to deal with that. So the Braves certainly hope that they're going to be able to take down the Phillies. Again, that series in Philadelphia to wrap up the season will have huge implications for the postseason. The Dodgers and Cardinals are currently tied for the second wild card spot. They're 3 games up on the Mets, 4 games up on the Reds. Again, the Reds have won 6 straight. So those are 2 teams that are going in opposite directions. While the Mets have dropped 4 in a row, the Reds have won 6 in a row to keep themselves in the picture. Still have to think it's going to be the Dodgers or Cardinals taking that other spot. But the Cardinals don't want the wild card. The Cardinals want the division. And they get that 3-game set against the Pirates, as we mentioned. So all these teams, those 3 teams there in those 3, the 3 teams at the top of the fight for the 2 wild card spots, all of them have huge series for the division title coming up over these final 9 days. The Braves against the Phillies, the Dodgers against the Giants, and the Cardinals against the Pirates. So lots of big games coming up down the stretch here in the FSBL. So the broadcast plan, we're going to do the September 21st game of the week setup as I have traditionally done here. We'll do Yankees and Red Sox, Pirates and Reds in that traditional game of the week format. And from there, it'll probably be at least 1 game from each day on the final week of the schedule, with several big series coming up. Some may only have 1. Some days may have more than 1, depending on how things go. And we'll do that basically until the final day of the season or until all of the playoff spots are set. And then we will get on to the 3rd postseason in the Franchise Stars Baseball League. But each of the last 2 years have had a couple of races to the end, but this is the tightest of the 3 years as far as the most tight races coming down this final week of the season. So this is going to be a lot of fun to cover. Hopefully you will stay tuned here, like, subscribe, follow along, etc. And again, after the Pennant Chase broadcast of these final 9 days, I will obviously, as always, broadcast every game of the Franchise Stars Baseball League postseason. We want to take a look at the leaderboards quick to see if there's good races going on there. Bob Elliott, again, having that terrific year for the Pirates, trying to hold off Sherry McGee of the Phillies for the batting race. Hanley Ramirez and Rogers Hornsby has gotten himself up there to 319. Willie Mays has gotten himself up to 310. Dan Bruthers of the Dodgers, another terrific year for him. He's at 314. So the National League batting race will be worth watching. Take a look at Mays. Again, this is a down season for Mays, who's the reigning MVP. But still, 310, 34 homers, 97 RBIs. He'll go over the 100 RBI plateau again. He probably won't get to 40 homers for the third straight year, but just another terrific season from Willie Mays, who's still going to get votes for the most valuable player award, I think this year, although, and we'll get to him, but I think Chuck Klein still has the edge there in the National League. The American League, Joe Mauer has opened up a 12-point lead over Al Kaline of the Tigers. Mauer has just been scalding hot over the past couple of months. He's now at 345. Lou Gehrig of the Yankees, and check out Gehrig's numbers. Gehrig has turned it on, and he is now at 332, 48 homers, 108 RBIs. He's going to put up a 50-homer season this year. One would imagine he'll be able to muster two over the final 9 days of the season. So Gehrig has gone from being an excellent player to quite possibly the American League most valuable player. If he can help lead the Yankees back to overtake the Sox over this final week and change, I think that would pretty much lock that up for Gehrig. Jose Ramirez, the year 1 batting champion, Eddie Collins, currently ranks 5th. The year 2 batting champion, Derek Jeter, currently ranks 7th. But it seems like the American League batting title is Mauer's to lose at this point. We'll head to the home run lead. There you see Gehrig leading with 48. Part of this Indians resurgence, a big part of that has been, if you've seen previous broadcasts, we've talked about Manny Ramirez having a down year this year. Well, over the past 6 weeks or so, that has really since the All-Star break. But he's really turned it on over these last over the last 6 weeks, 2 months. Manny is now second in the American League in homers, and he also leads it in RBIs with 111. That average still a little bit down from the past 2 years, but he was down in the 240s for a while. So Manny's resurgence in the second half has gone a big way towards the Indians getting themselves back into contention. And he's right now, he's slugging almost at what he's done the past couple of years. Again, the average is down a bit, but he, with a good final 9 days here, he could match his year 1 RBI total of 120, and he's set a career high in homers with 44. So Manny has turned it on. That's been a huge help for them. McGuire, Trout, Griffey Jr., Jose Bautista, Mookie Betts, Ted Williams there, Larry Doby as well in the American League home run race, but Gehrig leads the way with 48. And that's leading all of baseball. Chuck Klein, who we mentioned a bit ago as far as the National League Most Valuable Player Award, Klein leads the National League with 42 as he tries to hold off Mel Ott of the Giants with 41. Jim Edmonds of the Cardinals has 39. Stormin Gorman Thomas of the Brewers has 37. Hornsby and Stargell with 36. Nate Colbert of the Padres, another fine year for him. Colbert's been really good. At least as far as the power numbers. I forgot that his average had been that low. So I should say he's been a productive power hitter. 44 in year 1, 32 and 35. He's in that 100 homer club at this point, but only a lifetime 248 hitter. But for the Padres, Colbert has basically been the driving force of any offense that they've been able to get. Really good season out of Garrett Sheffield this year also. Sheffield in year 2. Again, his average has kind of fallen off a bit, and it's funny. His slugging percentage is actually down. He's got virtually no doubles this year. That's the thing. You get caught about seeing a guy in the leaderboard, and he's been in the power leaderboard. And I actually thought Sheffield's overall numbers were a bit better than this. But even so, Sheff has gone over the 100 RBI total for the second straight years for the Marlins, who you still have an uphill climb to go. Take a look at the RBI race. There's Chuck Klein, and Klein far and away the leader in that category, 129. And again, I think that figure in particular is going to be a big piece in Chuck Klein getting the National League Most Valuable Player honors. Klein was up there in average for a while. That's fallen off a bit. He's down to 291. Certainly very good. And Klein, of course, had a terrific rookie year last year, 306, 38, 107. But he's drawn a lot more walks this season. He has struck out a bit more, but his walk total has gone significantly up. And I think that has helped contribute to the power increase. 44 doubles to go with those 42 homers for Chuck Klein. In the American League RBI race, Manny Ramirez, as we just mentioned, leads the way. Lou Gehrig, also getting hot lately, the reigning American League Most Valuable Player, Jimmy Fox. That actually has Fox in a cold spell, so he might be cold over the past week. But Fox started off this season slowly. He won't come close to his MVP numbers of a year ago. But still, 293, 33 homers. He's over the 100 RBI mark for the third straight year. He's going to go over the 100 runs mark for the third straight year as well. Career best in walks at this point. So it's still, even in a down year relative to last year, and even year one, Fox has still had an exceptional season and an exceptional 3-year run here in the Franchise Stars Baseball League. Also take a look at Ken Griffey Jr. Again, that the Mariners are just stuck behind the A's and haven't been very good out there in the West. Doesn't take away from the fact that Jr. has been terrific. His career average has fallen below 300. It's down to 298. But he can do that, possibly get that back to 300 if he's got a nice final week and a half here. But over the 100 RBI mark for the third straight year, 39 homers. He'll go over the 40 homer plateau. That 59 in year one remains the standard here in the FSBL. That is the best that anybody has put up over the first 3 years. So Griffey has been predictably outstanding over his first 3 years in the FSBL. Reggie Jackson, a terrific season for the A's. Reggie had kind of a down year last year. 27 and 80 in year one, 33 and 80 in year two, excuse me. But he stepped up the average this year. His slugging percentage is up significantly. His on-base percentage is up significantly. He's Reggie. He's going to strike out a lot. That's fine. But 34 homers, 101 RBIs for Reggie, as the A's have 4 guys over the or approaching the 100. They will have 4 guys over the 100 RBI mark, as I expect Baker, who's at 99, and McGuire at 96 to both get there as well. Stolen bases. Lofton has opened up a 6 stolen base gap between him and Ricky Henderson. So Henderson, who has been not just the American League, but the Franchise Stars Baseball League stolen base king for each of the first 2 years, might lose his title here to Kenny Lofton. In the National League, Lonnie Smith of the Braves leads the way, but a few guys there close to him. Stenzel of the Pirates, Sliding Billy Hamilton, Ozzie Smith, Jose Reyes of the Mets. Jackie Robinson has sneaked up that list. Jackie Robinson, again, his rookie campaign, a fine year for Robinson, 295, 21 homers, 75 ribbies, 35 stolen bases. Certainly a very strong rookie campaign for Jackie Robinson. Take a look at pitching real quick. John Smoltz leads the National League in wins with 18. Cole Hamels, a terrific rookie campaign for him. He is 17-3. Hamels and Smoltz are your 1 and 2, I think, for the Outstanding Pitcher Award. Smoltz 18-3, 2.44. Hamels has been great, but I think you're going to have a really hard time not giving that award to John Smoltz. We'll see if the two of them lock up in that series to wrap up the season in Philadelphia. A couple other guys having a good year. Cliff Lee, Sid Fernandez has had a really big year for the Mets. Brian Anderson has been surprisingly good here in his second year. Anderson, 8-14 in year one, 16-9 this season. Anderson allowing fewer hits. He's always going to be a guy who doesn't walk many guys. So Anderson has done well. The Diamondbacks just can't score at all. Dazzy Vance has had a really good year here for the Dodgers. After a down year last year, he's kind of regained his year one form. Vance leading the league in strikeouts at 226. In the American League, Eddie Plank, the only guy with a shot at 20 wins. He's got 19 wins now for the A's. Nobody else has more than 16. There you see the A's, 4 pitchers with 16 wins or more. Rube Waddell has bounced back this year. Not great. His ERA is still up around 4. That really wasn't the case. He started off the year really strong and then cooled down a bit. But Waddell's still picking up the Ks. He's allowed a bunch of home runs in the second half, which have kind of blown things up on him a bit. Lefty Grove's been great again. But the guy I want to talk about for a second here, Tim Hudson. Check out Tim Hudson's record, getting the pitch as the number 5 starter for the A's. He is 55-11 over 3 years. A very good, not great. I mean, he went 19-3 last year with a 3.77. That's just how good the A's are. But Hudson has just been so much better than the number 5s that every other team is throwing out there. And that's how you get to that. 55-11 is just an absurd mark. Hudson getting the benefit of matchups, but he's also pitched very, very well. It's not like he's putting up that record with a 4 ERA, career 3.12. So Tim Hudson has been, that's easily the best winning percentage in the league. I'm virtually positive of that. Let's check out saves, whatever. Jonathan Papelbon trying to hold off John Hiller for the save lead in the American League. Raleigh Fingers started off the season badly, but Fingers has rebounded a bit. Still at 3.5, so that has been great. And Raleigh needs to shake some postseason woes as he's gotten touched up in the playoffs a little bit, particularly last year, but even in year one when the A's won the World Series, Fingers was decent but not great in the postseason. In the National League, Steve Reed, that might be the record actually, 52 saves. Steve Reed of the Rockies leads the league in saves there. Reed's had a really good year. Kimbrel, Felipe Vasquez. I believe Vasquez is the all-time saves leader in the league. He's been great. He's got 42, 47, and 52. All right, so that 52 mark, Vasquez has the high, but if Reed gets one more save, he'll break that. So a nice job there from Steve Reed. Al Hrabosky has saved 40 years in his 40 games in his first year as the closer for the Cardinals, as he took that job from Chuck Taylor this season. Lee Smith, another nice year here for the Cubs in his second year. He was sensational in year one. He's been marginally worse here in year two. And I think we'll do strikeouts. There you see what we were talking about, the Dodgers' top 3. Mungo actually has 4 more than Vance, but Mungo, Vance, and Koufax, 1, 2, 3 on that strikeout list in the National League. And that trio will go against the Giants in that big 3-game set in Los Angeles. In the American League, Pedro Martinez leads the way there in strikeouts. So we'll check out ERA too, and then we'll bring this to a close. He's got Rube Waddell by 2. Frank Tanana of the Angels is 3rd in strikeouts. He's up there as well. Justin Verlander has surged his way up there, the rookie, into the top 5. Dizzy Dean has just had a horrendous sophomore slump, although he's shaved 3/4 of a run off his ERA over the last month. And again, that is another reason the Pirates want no part of that season-ending series against the Cardinals, meaning anything. Having to face Gibson, who's just, again, Gibson has been decent in the regular season, but he's been exceptional in the postseason, and that would, for all intents and purposes, be a postseason game. The Pirates do not want to face Dean and Gibson in must-win situations with the division on the line. They want no part of that. So the Pirates, especially with Dean pitching better, the Pirates are going to want to make sure they wrap that up. Yeah, I passed ERA. Yep. ERA leader in the National League, Negro Leaguer Dave Brown. Against the Padres have been funny. The Padres have gotten 3 Negro League pitchers in the rookie draft, and 2 of them are the top of their staff, Dave Brown and Nip Winters. Brown having a very good rookie campaign. I don't think Brown is going to win Rookie of the Year. I think Cole Hamels is probably your Rookie of the Year in the National League. But still a very, very good year from Brown. John Smoltz, Fernandez, Clayton Kershaw, Anderson, Bunning, Hamels, and Seaver, Lee and Nichols round out your top 10 in the National League. In the American League, Zach Greinke leads the way in ERA. Thornton Lee of the White Sox has had a really nice year. Rookie schoolboy Rowe of the Tigers. Rowe has been great. I don't know if he's going to end up beating Josh Gibson or Joe Gordon for the American League Rookie of the Year honors. As Pedro, he's 4th. Guidry is 5th. Blyleven has had a really good year. There's the Eddie Plank, who I think is your American League Outstanding Pitcher of the Year here in his second season, 19-8, 2.80 for him. Now I have to go check how Josh Gibson's stats are finally playing out. Up and down, hot and cold, but overall, 267, 33 homers, 87 RBIs, 90 runs scored for Josh Gibson. He's been really, really good, and he is only going to get better for the Blue Jays. Let's check out Joe Gordon. Gordon, 296, 28, 85. Hit a little bit of a cold streak. That's going to be a close one. Gibson might actually win it. He's got him in homers. He's got him in RBIs. He's got him in runs. Rowe, I don't think Rowe's had a very good year, but I don't think Rowe has the at 13-6, even though the ERA is great, is 13-6 good enough to get a pitcher Rookie of the Year honors? Gibson may end up winning that American League Rookie of the Year title, which again, Gibson started off slowly. So that would be a great job by him. But that'll wrap it up from here. That sets things up. So tomorrow on the channel, we will have a doubleheader, Yankees, Red Sox, and Pirates and Reds for September 21st. And then from there, we'll go through each day on the schedule and do a bunch of pennant chase relevant games to get us to the end of the regular season. As always, I greatly appreciate you tuning in. Kindly bang that like button before you check on out of here. Subscribe if you have not as of yet. And most importantly, enjoy the rest of your night. Be good to each other. And we'll talk soon. The Franchise Stars Baseball League coming down the home stretch of year 3.